Have you ever found yourself maybe, looking in the mirror, perhaps after a shower, and noticing more hair than you'd like, maybe going down the drain? Or maybe your hair just doesn't feel quite as thick, as vibrant as it once did. Hair loss is, well, it's a really common concern. It touches so many of us. But what if I told you the answer might actually lie deep inside your cells, in these tiny, sort of powerhouse structures? Today, we're doing a real deep dive. We're sifting through some honestly fascinating scientific sources, and we're paying close attention to a key paper from 2025. We want to uncover some surprising insights into why hair loss happens right down at the cellular level. Our mission for you today: let's cut through the complexity, get to the most important nuggets of knowledge, and see what new research suggests for potential solutions.
And absolutely central to this whole conversation are mitochondria. They really are the powerhouses of the cell. I mean, they generate pretty much all the energy our cells need to function.
Yeah.
That energy comes in the form of ATP adenosine triphosphate. It fuels countless biological processes. What's amazing about them is their structure. It's quite unique. They've got two membranes, an outer one, kind of like a gatekeeper, and then this inner membrane that's highly folded. These folds, they're called cristae. They basically massively increase the surface area for crucial reactions like making AGP. And inside that, in the mitochondrial matrix, they even have their own DNA, mtDNA. This whole self-contained system is just essential for making energy, but also for other things like how cells manage calcium or even initiating programmed cell death, apoptosis, when it's necessary.
Okay, right. Let's unpack that a bit then. We all sort of know hair grows, it rests, it falls out.
Okay.
But what's really happening at the cellular level during these phases, it sounds way more involved than just that simple cycle.
That's a really key point. Hair follicles work on this very precise cycle. Three main stages.
Yeah.
Anagen, that's the active growth phase, then catagen, a short transition phase, and telogen, the resting or inactive phase before the hair sheds. And what our sources keep highlighting is that this anagen phase, the growth phase, it's incredibly energy hungry. Think of it almost like a tiny construction site constantly building. The cells doing the work, especially these keratinocytes in the outer root sheath, the ORS of the follicle, well, they are just packed with highly functional mitochondria. They need a huge amount of ATP to support all that rapid cell division and differentiation needed to actually grow the hair strand.
Ah, okay. And here's where it gets really interesting, isn't it? The research immediately flags this connection, this energy demand to hair loss. Our sources point out that early termination of this active anagen phase seems to be a hallmark of many hair loss disorders. So it sounds like if the cellular engine sputters, the hair growth just gets cut short.
You've absolutely hit the nail on the head. Mitochondrial dysfunction is a really critical factor impacting healthy hair follicle development. When these powerhouses aren't working optimally, it leads directly to lower ATP levels, so less energy for growth, and also problematically an increase in what we call reactive oxygen species, or ROS.
ROS. So if I'm getting this right, it's not just like a power outage, but you also get this buildup of like cellular exhaust, damaging free radicals that are essentially poisoning the follicle. That can't be good for hair growth.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. This imbalance, it causes significant oxidative damage to cellular parts. It's like accelerated aging for the follicle itself, often forcing it into that resting catagen phase way too soon. Or, in more severe cases, too much ROS can even trigger apoptosis-programmed cell death, which just makes the hair loss worse. But it's not just about the energy or the waste products. If we connect this to the bigger picture the sources reveal, mitochondria are deeply involved in regulating other critical cellular processes too. Take calcium, for instance. There's this delicate balance of calcium between the mitochondria and another cell part, the endoplasmic reticulum, or ER. It's vital for keeping the cell stable. If that gets disrupted, it can hinder ATP production and even push the cell towards death. Some research even shows high mitochondrial ROS can lead to too much calcium building up in the mitochondria, contributing to the aging of those crucial dermal papilla cells that support hair growth. And what's truly fascinating, really, is that mitochondria aren't just the battery pack. They're also like a central switchboard for these complex communication networks. Networks that literally dictate your hair's lifespan and health. They regulate several key signaling pathways, essential for hair follicle health. For instance, they influence processes protecting hair follicle stem cells from inflammation damage. We see this with the SIRT1 pathway. When SIRT1 isn't working right, it can lead to mitochondrial issues and inflammatory stress. We see this particularly in common conditions like androgenetic alopecia, or AGA. They also manage cell growth and death through pathways balancing pro and anti-apoptotic proteins. And crucially, they're absolutely essential for stimulating new hair growth. Pathways like PI3KKT, which helps the follicle switch from resting back to growth, and the winterkitnin pathway, which is vital for follicle growth and making new cells. When these signals get messed up, the whole hair cycle just gets thrown off balance.
Wow, okay. That really does sound like a cascade effect. It's not just about energy then, is it? It's this whole intricate network of communication, protection, all relying on healthy mitochondria. No wonder hair loss can feel so complex and frankly relentless sometimes. It really makes you think about the deep mechanics.
Precisely. It just underscores how fundamental mitochondrial health really is. And look, this isn't just theoretical stuff. Our deep dive into the research showed some really direct, sometimes stark, evidence of this. Studies have shown that children with diagnosed mitochondrial diseases often show clear symptoms like, well, slow hair growth, fragile, thinning hair, and that's a direct result of the impaired energy supply to their hair follicle cells. It profoundly impacts the normal hair cycle, regeneration.
Okay, so given all that complexity, there must be some hope on the horizon. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about what our sources highlight as maybe an unsung hero here. Aldehyde dehydrogenase 2, or ALDH2. I found this part really fascinating.
Absolutely. ALDH2. It's an enzyme, and it's primarily located in that outer root sheath, the ORS, of hair follicles. What's interesting is that its activity really ramps up during the hair's active growth phase, the anagen phase. Its main job, it's like a cellular detoxifier. It cleans up harmful byproducts, things like acetaldehyde and other reactive aldehydes, which often get generated during oxidative stress. The sources specifically point out its expression is notably higher in anagen compared to telogen, especially in those outer layers, so it suggests it's really important during active growth.
So it's kind of like a specialized cleanup crew for all that harmful cellular exhaust we were talking about earlier?
That's a perfect analogy. Think of it as a crucial ROS scavenger, specifically within the hair follicles. And the recent research here is incredibly compelling. The paper we're focusing on showed that activating ALDH2 using a specific compound called ALDA1, even just in lab settings with human outer root sheath cells, significantly boosted ALDH2 activity. And remarkably, it enhanced cell viability and proliferation. The experiments directly confirmed ALDA1's role in stimulating ALDH2 in these specific cells. That's a pretty big step forward. And the findings from this research, they're quite robust, honestly quite exciting. In ex vivo hair follicle cultures, where they grow actual human hair follicles in a dish, ALDA1 promoted hair shaft elongation, and it was dose-dependent. More ALDA1, more growth. Not only that, ALDH2 activation also significantly boosted how mitochondria produce energy, specifically through oxidative phosphorylation, or OXBOS. This led to a big jump in ATP production rates in those ORS cells. But the real potential game changer came from the in vivo result of the studies in living organisms. Topical treatment with ALDA1 on a mouse model actually induced the anagen phase. It got the hair growing again. And the results were comparable to minoxidil, which is, a widely used treatment. It worked by reducing those harmful aldehyde byproducts and, importantly, upregulating that make-catenin signaling pathway, one of those critical pathways for hair growth we mentioned earlier.
Okay, that raises a really important question, though. If ALDH2 is so critical, are there genetic factors involved? I mean, are some of us just inherently maybe at a disadvantage when it comes to this cleanup crew?
That's a very sharp question, and yes, the research definitely touches on that. Certain genetic variations, these single nucleotide polymorphisms or SNPs, related to the ALDH2 gene, specifically variants like RS59154828 and RS16941669, have been associated with early onset female pattern hair loss, EFPHL. So yes, it suggests that genetic differences in ALDH2 can play a significant role in susceptibility to hair loss. And importantly, it also suggests ALDH2 could be a really precise target for, future drug development.
This is genuinely groundbreaking stuff. It really sounds like we're stepping into a whole new era for understanding and maybe even treating hair loss.
Right.
What sort of new avenues are researchers exploring now based on these deep mitochondrial insights?
We absolutely are. This whole concept of mitochondrial dermatology is emerging. It's a new frontier, really, focusing specifically on restoring mitochondrial health within the hair follicles themselves. One approach mentioned in our sources involves hormone-based therapies, things like thyroid hormones, which can stimulate mitochondrial growth, or glucocorticoids, which can boost function. But, and this is critical, there's a big caution flag here about the potential toxic side effects on mitochondria. So it's about finding the right balance, the right therapeutic window.
Yeah.
Beyond hormones, novel drug delivery methods are showing huge promise. Microneedle technology, for instance. You have these patches with tiny needles, maybe integrated with things like serine manozymes or CNZ. These can effectively reduce oxidative stress and promote blood vessel formation right around the follicles.
Mm.
They support regrowth potentially more effectively than some older treatments by getting antioxidants directly into the skin where they're needed most.
Microneedles.
Yeah.
Interesting. What else?
Well, then there's stem cell regeneration. Using adipose-derived stem cells, ADSCs, these are stem cells from your own fat tissue. ADSC therapy has been shown to stimulate hair growth, partly by promoting mitochondrial division, though admittedly the exact molecular pathways, how it all works, are still being fully worked out. And what's truly fascinating here, really cutting edge, is the idea of mitochondrial transfer. Researchers have actually observed in lab settings the successful transfer of healthy, functional mitochondria from healthy cells into damaged ones.
Wow, like an organ transplant, but for cell parts.
Kind of. Imagine taking a healthy engine from one cell and putting it into a sputtering one. That's essentially the goal, to restore full power to those struggling hair follicles, perhaps in conditions like AGA. It's still early days, but very exciting. And finally, we absolutely need to talk about antioxidant balance. It's nuanced. While antioxidants can be really beneficial, where oxidative stress is a clear trigger, like in alopecia areata, it's crucial to remember that ROS, those reactive oxygen species, they also play a regulatory role in the normal hair cycle. So the key isn't just wiping out all ROS, it's achieving a careful balance, mitigating the damaging oxidative stress without eliminating the ROS needed for normal function. For alopecia areata, or RLA specifically, oxidative stress is strongly linked to the collapse of what's called immune privilege. And interestingly, even specific SNTs in that LDH2 gene are associated with RA. Our sources also mention autophagy. That's the cell's cleanup process for damaged parts. It protects cells from ROS, and if autophagy gets blocked, it can actually make ARA worse. Adjuvant treatments, things added on to standard therapy, like calcipotriol, a vitamin D derivative, or even ginger powder, a known antioxidant, have shown some promise in helping restore that oxidative balance in AA patients.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what does this all really mean for you listening right now? We've seen how these tiny powerhouses, mitochondria, they're not just about energy. They are deeply, fundamentally intertwined with whole cycle of hair growth, its health, and yes, its loss. It's a pretty profound connection. It really changes how you might think about the problem.
Absolutely. This deep dive into the research, it really shows that so many different pathways seem to lead back to mitochondrial health. Managing oxidative stress, hormonal balance, those crucial signaling molecules, cellular stress responses, it's all connected. The future of hair loss treatment. It may very well lie in understanding and crucially nurturing these cellular engines, moving beyond just surface treatments to fundamental cellular repair and revitalization.
It truly does redefine our understanding, doesn't it? Shifting the focus from maybe just simple genetics or hormones, which we hear a lot about, to the fundamental mechanics inside our cells. Makes you think differently about every single strand on your head.
And this brings up a really important question, something maybe to mull over. As this research into mitochondrial function keeps advancing, how might truly personalized treatments, therapies that precisely target your unique mitochondrial profile, how might they revolutionize not just hair care, but potentially broader aspects of cellular aging and regeneration altogether? It's certainly a lot to think about as we move forward.